What's up, YouTube? This is True Raw for TV. All right. I just want to say something, man. Like, I remember shortly before his death, Kobe Bryant asked Lakers Nation to be more accepting of LeBron. And from what I could read, a lot of you guys was kind of like, we love you, Kobe, but he got to earn it, right? And then, unfortunately, Kobe passed away tragically, all right, just 3 weeks ago. And since then, I've tried to be far less critical of LeBron when I don't think it's necessary. All right. I always thought and was taught that the basis of constructive criticism is supposed to be meant to improve someone or a situation. That's supposed to be the basis of constructive criticism. When you just criticize someone just to demean, besmirch, slander, that's something different. That's why I don't like guys like Nick Wright. Chris Broussard's on the borderline with it, but Nick Wright I truly despise, okay? Because he does that. And the reason why I bring it up is because I noticed in the comment section, look, I know a lot of guys don't like LeBron James, man, but we could give this guy credit for something, okay? He's had a remarkable career. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether you want to sit there and make excuses, oh, he used PEDs, well, he used this. But there's a lot of guys that have, first of all, it's never been established or proven that he used PEDs. Second of all, Barry Bonds used PEDs, and he should be in the fucking Hall of Fame. So even if LeBron does use PEDs, which hasn't been proven, he still is a Hall of Famer. And even if he does use PEDs, he's not the only one. Just use the eye test. How many of these fucking guys have you seen have gotten bigger and stronger and even seemingly faster? And these guys aren't gym rats. These guys aren't doing fucking wind sprints every fucking day. I'm not saying they ain't working, but they ain't working like that. You know? It is what it is. All right? But give the guy some credit, man. You know? And on the other end, the Kawhi haters. Give that man some fucking credit. Okay? It don't always got to be about LeBron, Ramon James. I know that you're only in the NBA, you're only a fan of the NBA, excuse me, because of one player. But what are you going to do when that guy retires? What are you going to do? Are you just going to fucking sit back on YouTube and watch LeBron videos all day? Man, I remember when LeBron was in the NBA. Man. What about Zion? Man, he can't touch LeBron. Yeah, man, but LeBron ain't playing 8 years. Man, LeBron was the man. I'm telling you, when LeBron was playing, hey man, Trey Young had a big night last night. How many points he had? 52, I think. Career high. Yeah, but I remember when LeBron had 61. 61 is more than. Hey man, can you get the fuck off LeBron nuts? Hey man, fuck you, man. But anyway, last night, after he accepted the award, I noticed. I remember Kawhi mentioned Kobe, and it just conjured up to me like the true polar opposites. And no, that's not an alarm saying that I need to change my smoke alarm battery. I don't know if y'all hearing that in the background. But anyway, it just reminds me of how different these guys are, man. They're polar opposites. Like, LeBron's the type of guy, he's very social. He's the first athlete in the NBA, maybe the first athlete overall, definitely the first major athlete to really use social media as a way of communicating. He's mastered it. Kawhi doesn't use social media. he just that's just not how he is. Okay, up until recently, Kawhi was old school, man. Kawhi had the same vehicle. Y'all remember correct? Y'all remember like before he signed his big contract, Kawhi used to sometimes come to games, and some games he didn't even have his cornrows, uh, fresh. Kawhi's not an ostentatious person. He's not flashy or flamboyant, and he's not exactly the most image conscious person. I think now he has people in his sector that maybe tell him, yeah, man, you're a brand, man. You gotta have your cornrows fresh. All right, man. All right, whatever, man. But he's just not flashy. Like, I'm not saying that LeBron isn't being honest when he talks about his love and admiration for Kobe, but he's different. Like, when Kobe passed away, he went on Twitter and talked about how LeBron was like his big brother and he's going to continue his legacy. Up until last night, we didn't even know that Kawhi had a relationship like that with Kobe Bryant. He keeps things to himself, uh, for the most part. He keeps things to himself, and he has to be prodded to open up about stuff. That's why I think it hurt him dearly how the Spurs pretty much, they pretty much accuse him of being a liar when it comes to his knee condition. They pretty much accuse him of being a liar, man, and I think that's fucked up. Um, it's just so different, man. Like their games, LeBron, even though he can score, and even though LeBron has I think off the top of my head, let me think, the fourth highest career scoring average ever. I think he has the fourth highest, behind Jordan, Chamberlain, and Elgin Baylor. I think he has the fourth highest, and yeah, he can put the ball in the basket, but he's not a scorer by instinct or nature. He's a scorer when the opportunity presents itself, when he thinks that mathematically in his head he's the best option, or he has a mismatch, or whatever. But he's not a scorer by nature like a Kobe or Jordan or a Gervin, or even as a Kawhi is becoming. He's more of a facilitator. And even though he scores in an efficient manner, he's not a great jump shooter. Most of his scores come from either the foul line or inside the paint. I think about 2/3 of his buckets or points come from inside the painted area. And that's why he shoots at a 49 to 50% clip. And in his best years with the Miami Heat, he was well over 50%. Kawhi Leonard shoots at a really high percentage when you consider his shot selection. Leonard, as we saw last night, has really improved his outside shot. He's Leonard is more of a Leonard is more of a scoring. He's a two-way player, but he's becoming much more complete on the offensive end of things. He's becoming really complete, and he's becoming a great shooter. He's going from being a good shooter to becoming a great shooter. And this is a guy that's really, really, really working on his game. You got to remember how far he's come along. Now, LeBron has improved marginally as a shooter. In his first year in the NBA, he shot 42% from the floor, and I think something like 29% from three. So overall, his shot selection has gotten better. I'm talking about LeBron James. Um, his form is better, but he's not a great, great shooter. One of his weaknesses now, as he's 35 years old, other than the fact that defensively he's not what he once was, but one of his weaknesses is his foul shooting, which has actually gotten worse as his career progressed. Not that, at the beginning he was average, Now he's a little bit below average, and in the fourth quarter he's below average. Um, Kawhi, on the other hand, has improved so much overall. Kawhi was just known as a defensive player coming into the NBA. He was known as a defensive player, and the 2014 NBA Finals, where he won MVP, that was his breakout party. Like that year. I think he averaged 22 points per game in that Finals, which doesn't sound like much when you compare it to the LeBron of the Kawhi to today. But before that, I think that season he was averaging like 13 points a game or 12 points a game. He wasn't really known as a scorer yet. I think it was the first year he may have averaged double digits in scoring. But then he just improved dramatically as a player to the point where that last year he was with the San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi was like a top 5 player, top 6 player in the league. And now, arguably, he's the best actual player in the league. He may not be the most dominant, and because of the amount of games he missed, that might keep him out of the MVP discussion. And Giannis will probably win it. But outside of Kevin Durant, Kawhi to me is the best player in the NBA. Kawhi is also different in so many different ways. The way that the media talks about him. Look, the mainstream sports media are in love with LeBron James, all right? For the most part. You have your detractors, you have your Rob Parkers, you have your Michael Rappaports, you have your, whatever the fucking guy name is, Gottlieb, whatever. You have your LeBron critics, but the ones who chirp the loudest are the LeBron fanboys. None chirp louder than Shannon Sharp, Chris Broussard, and Nick Wright. They're like the top guys. Followed closely by Colin Cowherd, all right, who can be a little bit more reasonable. Kawhi doesn't really have anybody in the mainstream media that really chirps for him like that. Nobody really, from what I could tell, really chirps for him or really, put, I just can't think of anybody. But I do know people who down him a lot, you know. But those are some of the big differences, man. When it comes to those two personalities, their games, the way the media presents them, those are some of the big differences. I think that LeBron is a very polarizing personality. You either like him or you don't. Personally, I don't hate LeBron, but the media can make you root against him. Not personal, not nothing personal, but the media can make you start to dislike him, and that's not right. But that's the way it is. Kawhi has become polarizing not because of his level of play per se, but only polarizing to me when it comes to those in the media who root for LeBron. They make an issue of the load management and whether or not he is lazy or he doesn't really want to play or only wants to play when he wants to play, and things of that nature. When we all know that if Kawhi had signed the Lakers, load management would be spun as a brilliant strategy. They keep on the Kawhi fresh for the playoffs. The whole argument would be different if Kawhi was with the Lakers. But at the end of the day, they're both phenomenal players. They're both going to be Hall of Famers. And one other difference I can think of is that LeBron could very well, when I think about it, LeBron could very much well set an NBA record for most seasons played. I mean, he's in his 17th season. He's playing very well. So conceivably in his 18th season, he could still be putting up all-star numbers. He'll be 36 next year. So I could possibly see this guy playing another 5 or 6 years. He did say that one of his goals is to play with his son. So that would necessitate him to play for at least another 5 years. So that would be until what? Or at least 4 years. That would be like what, 4 to 5 years. That'll be him playing until his 21st season, 22nd season. So I can see LeBron, because he likes stats and he I could see him trying to break that record if it's in sight. He's able to do it. Kawhi, I don't think he's as numbers orientated. I think he's only fixated on winning championships. And the way they both approach championships says a lot about them too. LeBron, when he goes to a franchise, he looks for a team to build around him. He needs pieces or wants pieces to accommodate him. Whereas Kawhi is looking at teams that are possibly pretty much already established, maybe need a piece there, or, maybe a sidekick or whatever, but he looks at a team that's already together and looks to see if he can be an addition to that team to help them with a championship. And of course, he did get Paul George, because in this league, it's a superstar league. It's a tandem league. So, but still, for the most part, he looks to see what team he can go to and help them to be a contender. So that just goes to show you the differences in how they approach uh, this thing called the NBA and winning and titles. But tell me what you guys think.